Romeo and Juliet and this were simply chosen because they were, the best possible films that I saw to do.
On the deck of the Titanic, Jack Dawson's outstretched arms became one of the most immortal images in 20th century cinema. But Leonardo DiCaprio, the man behind that role, was never just a romantic heartthrob. For more than 3 decades, he has transformed himself into a rare monument, an actor who always chose the harder path, diving into raw, uncompromising characters and turning each performance into a lesson on the weight of art. Yet the higher his star has risen, the more contradictory his private life has appeared. Here is a man who holds nearly everything: fame, awards, hundreds of millions of dollars, a long line of lovers from supermodels to movie stars. And still, at 50, he clings to one choice that keeps the world guessing: never marrying, never building a family of his own. Amid all the luxury and power, what remains are empty houses, fleeting romances, and one unfulfilled longing to be a father. Leonardo DiCaprio stands as living proof of the price of stardom. An artist unafraid of the hard road, a global icon watched by millions, yet also a man quietly wrestling with his own solitude. Could it be that the man who made the whole world's heart beat faster is, when the curtain falls, the loneliest of them all? Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio was born on November 11, 1974, in Los Angeles, California. He was the only child of Irmelin Indenburken, a German-born legal secretary, and George DiCaprio, a true bohemian artist who drew underground comics and produced experimental films. The two had met in college and were drawn together by a shared artistic ambition, but George's free-spirited nature soon caused their marriage to fracture. The name Leonardo, which has stayed with him to this day, began with a chance, yet symbolic moment. While pregnant, Irmelin was standing before a painting by Leonardo da Vinci in an Italian museum when the baby suddenly kicked. She took it as a sign of destiny and decided to name her son after the Renaissance genius. Later, Leonardo himself admitted he felt proud of the name, not only because it reflected his father's Italian roots, but also because it carried an expectation of creativity and distinction. DiCaprio's childhood, however, was far from idyllic. Before he could even speak properly, his parents had separated. George fell in love with another woman and moved in with her, but both he and Irmelin wanted to raise their son. They reached an unusual arrangement: 2 houses side by side, sharing a single yard. In this unconventional setting, Leonardo grew up between 2 worlds. On one side, the devoted embrace of his mother. On the other, the freewheeling, untamed presence of his artist father. It was also here that Leonardo grew close to Adam Ferrar, the son of his father's girlfriend. A few years older, Adam had tried his hand at acting and became the brother Leonardo never had. The two roamed the streets of Los Feliz, playing together but also witnessing unsettling scenes, crime, drugs, and violence right outside their door. DiCaprio later recalled, "I grew up in a neighborhood where blood and needles were a daily sight, where people dealt drugs outside my window. I've never forgotten that." Those memories deepened his gratitude to his mother, who supported the family with her modest job as a legal secretary, just enough to keep him alive in such a harsh environment. At school, Leonardo never really fit in. He attended Los Angeles Center for Enriched Studies and later John Marshall High School. But his passion lay far from textbooks. He only felt truly alive when performing, mimicking others, clowning around, or stepping into imagined characters. At just 2 years old, he climbed onto a small stage at a local festival, danced, and pulled funny faces that made the audience laugh. That feeling of moving others planted the seed of his lifelong ambition to act. Another turning point came from Adam Ferrar. When Leonardo saw his stepbrother earn $50,000 from a television commercial, he realized that dreams could become reality. Yet the road to the screen was anything but smooth. For a year and a half, he faced rejection after rejection, enduring constant disappointment at auditions. Some agencies even coldly advised him to change his name to Lenny Williams to make it in Hollywood. Leonardo flatly refused. He would not abandon the name tied to his family legacy and sense of destiny, even if it meant a harder path. Fortunately, his father not only encouraged him, but also instilled the belief that he had to stay true to himself. With that support and help from a family friend, Leonardo finally caught the eye of casting directors. By the age of 15, he had appeared in dozens of commercials, from Matchbox toy cars and Kraft Singles cheese to Bubble Yum gum and Apple Jacks cereal. These gigs not only lifted him out of poverty, but also opened the gateway to the unforgiving world of entertainment. Leonardo DiCaprio's childhood was therefore a strange mix: poverty, instability, and shadows, the quiet love of his mother and the spiritual encouragement of his father, exposure to dangerous surroundings alongside a growing conviction that the stage could be his second home. All of it shaped a young man eager to prove himself, yet wary of personal entanglements, a mark that would linger in the way he chose to live even after becoming a global superstar. The advertising contracts gave Leonardo DiCaprio his first foothold in the entertainment industry, but he knew he couldn't stop there. In 1989, at just 15 years old, Leonardo landed a small but important role in 2 episodes of the TV series The New Lassie, playing Glenn, a modest step forward that allowed him to transition from commercials into professional acting. A year later, he appeared in Santa Barbara, 1990, one of the most popular soap operas of the time, continuing to build a reputation through small but memorable roles. By 1991, Leonardo had been cast in the hit sitcom Growing Pains, playing Luke Brower, a homeless teenager. Producers initially hoped the bright, appealing young actor would draw in more viewers, especially young female audiences. While the ratings didn't rise as expected, Leonardo's natural, mischievous performance earned him additional nominations at Young Actor Awards and, more importantly, opened the door to the big screen. That opportunity came in 1993, when he was cast in This Boy's Life, based on Tobias Wolff's memoir. Leonardo played Toby, a teenager struggling under the abuse of a violent stepfather, portrayed by Robert De Niro himself. It was the first time Leonardo faced real pressure, acting opposite one of the greatest icons in American cinema. Director Michael Caton-Jones used strict methods to push the young actor, demanding he fully grasp every psychological shift in the character. In the end, DiCaprio exceeded expectations. His portrayal of Toby's helpless yet defiant eyes convinced critics. Here was a young talent not to be underestimated. Just a year later, DiCaprio reinforced that impression with What's Eating Gilbert Grape, 1993. In this film, he embodied Arnie, a mentally challenged boy dependent on his older brother, played by Johnny Depp. The role required such complete immersion that it could easily have been misinterpreted, and Leonardo stunned audiences. Many even believed the filmmakers had cast a boy with an actual disability. At only 19, he received his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. It was the moment that marked the arrival of a true talent, a young actor not only blessed with movie star looks, but also with the depth to vanish completely into a role. Following his unexpected success in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Leonardo did not rush toward commercial films. Instead, he sought out challenging projects such as The Basketball Diaries, 1995, and Total Eclipse, 1995, where he portrayed the gay poet Arthur Rimbaud. This boldness proved that Leonardo did not want to be merely a handsome face on screen, but aspired to become a genuine artist. Then in 1996, he took on the project that completely transformed his image, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet. This modernized adaptation of Shakespeare's classic set Romeo against a backdrop of guns, neon lights, and a fiery Verona city. With his melancholic eyes and youthful romantic aura, Leonardo captivated the world. Young audiences, especially teenage girls, immediately embraced him as the ultimate symbol of romantic love. Scenes of Romeo climbing Juliet's balcony, Claire Danes, or gazing in despair at her lifeless body became timeless posters for a generation of 1990s youth. DiCaprio didn't just play Romeo, he lived the tragedy of that love, embodying the very essence of reckless passion. Romeo plus Juliet was not only a box office success, but also ignited a cultural phenomenon. Leonardo DiCaprio was now a global idol, a true teen heartthrob. Yet unlike manufactured stars, he had already proven his depth as an actor. And this was only the beginning of the explosion to come. A film that would soon propel his name beyond every boundary of Hollywood. If Romeo plus Juliet turned Leonardo DiCaprio into a youth idol, then just 1 year later, Titanic, 1997, made him a global phenomenon. As Jack Dawson, the poor but passionate and free-spirited artist, DiCaprio breathed life into Hollywood's ultimate romantic prince, young, reckless, and willing to give everything for love. With clear eyes, a mischievous smile, and lines that were simple yet haunting, Jack Dawson became the dream of an entire generation of young women. The impact of Titanic went far beyond cinema. It was a cultural fever unlike anything before. Theaters worldwide were packed, audiences returned to watch it again and again, and global box office revenue soared past $2 billion, an unthinkable record at the time. The name Leo became the hottest keyword in media, plastered across magazines, TV, and posters adorning the bedrooms of teenagers from America to Europe to Asia. People lined up outside theaters just to cry with Jack and Rose, to witness the young man stretch his arms wide at the ship's bow and shout, "I'm the king of the world," a moment that defined an era. Posters of the star-crossed lovers embracing in the sunset covered dormitory walls, while Leonardo DiCaprio's name blazed beyond cinema itself, cementing him as a pop culture phenomenon. Yet the frenzy brought crushing pressure. In his early 20s, DiCaprio went from a promising actor to the most sought-after star on the planet. Thousands of young fans screamed his name at every appearance. The press crowned him Hollywood's prince, and studios flooded him with romantic scripts modeled after Titanic. But behind the glitter, DiCaprio felt trapped. He was being locked into the label of romantic heartthrob, a handsome, safe idol for teenage girls, something he had never wanted. For an actor hungry for challenges, that overwhelming adoration became a burden, a shadow that threatened to confine him and make him one-dimensional in the eyes of both audiences and critics. While the world expected him to keep playing new versions of Jack Dawson, DiCaprio chose the opposite path. Instead of chasing easy glory, he quietly said no to a slew of formulaic love stories. He avoided roles that relied only on a smile or a glance to melt hearts. Instead, Leonardo devoted himself to reading scripts obsessively, carefully choosing only projects with depth, conflict, and the power to test his abilities as an actor. At the time, his decision shocked many. Some producers dismissed him as someone destroying his own career, while the media questioned whether the young star could ever escape Titanic's shadow. But DiCaprio remained steadfast. He knew that the longevity of an actor's career did not come from repeating an image to please the crowd, but from the ability to constantly reinvent oneself. That bold choice saved him from the trap of short-lived fame and opened a new journey, one where Leonardo DiCaprio would no longer be just Jack of youthful romance, but one of the greatest, most powerful actors of his generation. That reinvention quickly found its perfect launching pad when Leonardo DiCaprio met Martin Scorsese, one of the greatest directors of the century. Their collaboration began with Gangs of New York, 2002. As Amsterdam Vallone, a young man returning to avenge his father's death at the hands of a gang, DiCaprio brought to the screen a character both fierce and psychologically complex. The film marked the start of an artist-muse relationship that has lasted for more than 2 decades. Next came The Aviator, 2004, where he transformed into Howard Hughes, the tycoon, pilot, and creative genius tormented by obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. The role pushed DiCaprio to the limits of his craft, forcing him to study the condition and Hughes's profound loneliness in detail. The result was a masterful performance that earned him his first Golden Globe and proved he was no longer the Titanic prince. In 2006, The Departed further showcased DiCaprio's ability to reinvent himself. As undercover cop Billy Costigan, he conveyed suffocating tension and inner torment, helping turn the film into one of the greatest gangster masterpieces of the 21st century and giving Scorsese the first Oscar of his career. Their partnership didn't stop there. With Shutter Island, 2010, DiCaprio led audiences into the labyrinth of a federal marshal's collapsing mind, a role that demanded he dive deep into psychological instability. Then came The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013, where he embodied the manic frenzy of Jordan Belfort, the stockbroker who turned Wall Street into a circus of sex, drugs, and money. This audacious performance was both shocking and bitingly satirical, cementing one of the defining roles of his career. 2 decades after their first collaboration, the duo continues to thrive. Killers of the Flower Moon, 2023, revealed DiCaprio at the height of his powers, embodying Ernest Burkhart, a man torn between love, crime, and loyalty in the Osage murders. The film was again acclaimed by critics, proving that the DiCaprio-Scorsese bond is not merely professional, but a creative journey that continues to redefine the strength of contemporary cinema. Alongside Scorsese, DiCaprio also carved his place through major works outside his mentor's embrace. These were projects where he tested himself, sometimes diving into harsh political terrain, sometimes exposing the intimate tragedies of human life. In 2006, Blood Diamond dragged him into the heart of a grim reality, where sparkling diamonds for the wealthy were paid for in African blood and suffering. As Danny Archer, a mercenary arms dealer, DiCaprio portrayed a man caught between profit and morality. He exuded the allure of a reckless adventurer while forcing audiences to confront the horrors behind luxury. The role not only earned him an Oscar nomination, but also marked his full transition from romantic prince to an actor unafraid to face the harshest truths. 2 years later, Revolutionary Road, 2008, reunited him with Kate Winslet, but in a setting far removed from Titanic. No longer star-crossed lovers, they were a young suburban couple trapped in 1950s America. Over dinner tables and forced smiles, the film laid bare the suffocating erosion of unfulfilled dreams. DiCaprio seemed intent on shedding his Titanic glow. Gone were the dreamy eyes, replaced with eruptions of anger, helplessness, and despair, exposing the silent destruction within a man who seemed to have everything. Then came Inception, 2010, where Christopher Nolan placed DiCaprio into a maze of dreams and reality. As Dom Cobb, a master of dream infiltration haunted by the memory of his dead wife, DiCaprio turned a cerebral sci-fi concept into an emotional odyssey. His performance gave the film not only intellectual heft, but also its aching heart, proof of his rare ability to fuse intellect with raw feeling. If Inception delved into grief and inner tragedy, Django Unchained, 2012, pushed him to the opposite extreme. As Calvin Candy, a southern plantation owner polished on the outside but rotten to the core, DiCaprio embraced one of his roughest roles. In the famous scene where he slammed his hand on the table, shattering a glass and bleeding heavily, he never broke character, delivering his lines with unrelenting intensity. The unscripted moment stayed in the film, immortalizing his willingness to sacrifice physically for the soul of a role. The pinnacle of challenge came with The Revenant, 2015. As Hugh Glass, mauled by a bear and left to die in the frozen wilderness, DiCaprio forced himself to endure his character's nightmares, filming in sub-zero temperatures, eating raw bison liver on camera and immersing himself in icy rivers. He was no longer acting, he was surviving. After more than 20 years haunted by the question, when will Leo win an Oscar? The moment he finally held the golden statue in his hands closed a long, agonizing chapter. It was not just a prize for one role, but a release for an entire career built on persistence and belief. In the years that followed, he continued to prove his resilience in choosing roles. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, cast him as Rick Dalton, a fading B-list actor clinging to old glories in a rapidly changing Hollywood, a mirror reflecting every star's greatest fear, the moment fame slips away. Then came Don't Look Up, 2021, where he embodied a desperate scientist screaming into a society indifferent to impending doom. The film's satirical tone masked a clear political message, another sign of DiCaprio's commitment to linking art with social responsibility. Alongside cinema, DiCaprio's honors showed he was more than an actor. In 2005, France awarded him the title of Commander of Arts and Letters, recognizing cultural impact beyond borders. In 2016, Time magazine listed him among the 100 most influential people in the world, not only for his acting but also for his powerful environmental advocacy. As a UN messenger of peace, DiCaprio became the face of a generation of artists who turned fame into a tool for protecting the planet. And in 2022, Empire readers ranked him among the top 50 greatest actors of all time, a testament that Leonardo DiCaprio's three-decade journey of relentless reinvention had been rewarded in full. If Leonardo DiCaprio's career carried him to the peak of artistic achievement, his private life remained overshadowed by one persistent question. Why has a man so talented and wealthy, at the age of 50, still not built a lasting home? Alongside the spotlight, DiCaprio's life has been filled with romances, tabloids overflowing with his name next to some of the most beautiful women in the world. As early as the mid-1990s, when the glow of Romeo, Juliet, and Titanic had not yet fully blanketed Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio's private life had already become irresistible fodder for the press. From that period onward, Leo was increasingly associated with a list of glamorous companions, most of them top models or leading actresses. The first to appear in the tabloids was Bridget Hall, a rising face of Victoria's Secret and Sports Illustrated. In 1994, just after turning 20, DiCaprio was seen with her at several fashion events in New York. Their brief relationship offered few details, but the media quickly labeled Hall his first model girlfriend, setting a pattern that would repeat itself for the next 3 decades. The young Hollywood star alongside an equally young fashion model. After Hall came Naomi Campbell, the most powerful black supermodel of the 1990s. Rumors began around 1995, when they were frequently seen together at elite parties. Though the romance was short-lived, Naomi and Leonardo remained close friends. Years later, they were still spotted vacationing together on yachts and attending charity events, proof that some relationships, though fleeting, left behind lasting friendships. In 1996, DiCaprio appeared with Kristen Zhang, a blonde model known for her sweet looks. He took Zhang to the Romeo plus Juliet red carpet and considered her his official girlfriend for a year. But just before Titanic premiered, they broke up. At the time, the press claimed Leo was not mature enough for a long-term relationship, while Zhang later admitted that fame's pressure and his demanding schedule made love difficult to sustain. By 1997, as Titanic turned DiCaprio into a global phenomenon, his personal life stirred with rumors of a connection to Demi Moore, then in a troubled marriage with Bruce Willis. Paparazzi caught the two speaking intimately at a Los Angeles party, and headlines quickly blared, "Leo? Demi?" Neither ever confirmed the relationship. Moore continued her marriage with Willis for a few more years before divorcing, and the story with DiCaprio remained one of Hollywood's gray areas. During the same period, Helena Christensen, another Victoria's Secret angel, was often seen alongside Leo at after-parties. Known for her romance with INXS singer Michael Hutchence, Helena was said to have shared a few months of intimacy with DiCaprio. Yet, like many of his liaisons, it seemed more like companionship than a long-term commitment. One of the most curious tales was with Amber Valletta. According to insiders, in the late 1990s, DiCaprio saw her photo on the cover of a fashion magazine and immediately asked his manager to arrange an introduction. They met, dated briefly, like a scene lifted straight out of a movie. Valletta later married, had children, and described her time with Leo as little more than a fleeting moment. Also, in the post-Titanic era, DiCaprio's name was linked with Czech supermodel Eva Herdzigova. Rumors suggested they were involved after the premiere of The Man in the Iron Mask in 1998. But Eva herself denied the speculation, insisting they were merely acquaintances. Later, Herdzigova married an Italian businessman and started a family, while the Leo-Eva story remained just a small sketch in the larger portrait of the actor's tangled private life. Looking back at that period, it's clear Leonardo DiCaprio emerged from Titanic as an overwhelming focal point. The glare of fame kept thrusting him into cycles of rumor with the world's most beautiful faces. Yet behind the long list of supermodel girlfriends, what remained most of all was fragility. No relationship ever truly deepened, no marriage, no family with children. The combination of youth, crushing fame, and a fear of commitment led DiCaprio to move through romances as he did through roles. Brilliant, dazzling, but fleeting. After fleeting romances in his youth, Leonardo DiCaprio entered a different phase. Longer relationships that seemed, at times, as though they might become a true destination. And it was here that the tension between fame and private life became most visible. In 1999, DiCaprio met Gisele Bündchen, the Brazilian supermodel at the height of her career. They quickly became the golden couple of the entertainment world, Hollywood's most handsome leading man, paired with a Victoria's Secret angel. For 6 years, they walked red carpets together, attended sports events side by side, and were often photographed on lavish vacations. Yet the glamour couldn't bridge their differences. In her memoir, Gisele wrote that she craved a quieter, more meaningful life, while Leonardo was still swept up in Hollywood's parties and whirlwind. When they broke up in 2005, she reflected, "I had to choose between saving myself or continuing to live in exhaustion." The relationship ended without marriage, without children. Just a chapter full of light, but also deep disappointment. Less than a year later, DiCaprio began dating Bar Refaeli, the Israeli supermodel, nearly a decade younger. Their relationship lasted 6 years, though it was never steady. They broke up and reconciled multiple times, like parallel tracks struggling to meet. The media often covered their vacations in Israel, the US, and Europe. Bar even introduced Leonardo to her family, and many believed this might be the turning point toward stability. But the constant cycle of splits and reunions wore them down. By 2011, they parted for good, leaving behind a long relationship that still couldn't anchor him. In 2017, Leonardo began seeing Camila Morrone, an Argentine actress and model born in 1997, 23 years his junior. This became the longest relationship of his private life, lasting 5 years, but it also drew the harshest scrutiny. The age gap became a subject of online mockery, with the press comparing Morrone to his previous partners and even pointing out that he had never dated anyone over 25. Despite the criticism, they appeared together at major events, from Cannes to award ceremonies. Morrone herself once said, "People should let me love whoever I want, instead of labeling me because of an age gap." Yet the pressure from public opinion, along with lifestyle differences, gradually pulled them apart. In 2022, after 5 years, they officially split. No wedding, No children. Just the echo of a love that had been steady, but ultimately couldn't withstand the weight of outside scrutiny. After Morone, the public once again speculated, would Leonardo ever find someone who could keep him? At the end of 2022, Gigi Hadid's name suddenly surfaced. Rumors spread when paparazzi spotted them together at events in New York. Gigi was then emerging from personal upheaval, while Leo had just ended his longest romance. The pairing sparked immediate buzz, a top supermodel with Hollywood's eternal bachelor. But within months, the story fizzled. Insiders insisted they were only longtime friends who briefly explored something more. The rumor evaporated like smoke in DiCaprio's long dossier of romances. By 2023, a new face appeared. Vittoria Ceretti, an Italian supermodel nearly 20 years younger. They met at the Cannes Film Festival, then were soon seen vacationing in Sardinia, attending a Rolling Stones concert in Las Vegas, showing up at Art Basel in Miami, and celebrating DiCaprio's 49th birthday together. Notably, Vittoria was spotted with Leonardo's mother multiple times, a rare sign that he took this relationship more seriously than the fleeting ones before. Ceretti, a familiar face for Versace, Gucci, and Balenciaga, entered his life at a time when both his career and personal life had matured. Yet, even with this public display and the sense of something deeper, marriage was never mentioned. Sources close to him confirmed that DiCaprio valued her deeply, but did not see a ring as the measure of love. While the public obsessed over each woman who entered and left his life, Leonardo DiCaprio carefully cultivated an image the press never tired of exploiting: Hollywood's bad boy. Since the 1990s, he was infamous for his hard-partying crew nicknamed the Pussy Posse, which included up-and-coming stars like Tobey Maguire. They were a fixture at bars and clubs in New York and Los Angeles, known for all-night revelry. Tabloids fed on their antics, drinking, mingling with models, brawls in bars, leaving chaos in their wake. The image of a young star living recklessly became both dazzling and rebellious, shaping DiCaprio as a generational icon of the 1990s. But it was his love life that drew the most ridicule. Online, people even created the Leo's girlfriend age chart, a meme mocking his pattern of dating beautiful women under 25, only to split when they reached that age. The chart went viral worldwide, becoming a running joke about Leo's dating formula. Though he never publicly responded, having his private life turned into a punchline added another layer of stigma to his otherwise brilliant career. Beneath the memes and sarcastic laughter, however, lay a deeper root: his parents' divorce. As a boy, Leonardo had watched his family fall apart, leaving him with a lasting fear of commitment. He distrusted relationships sustained only by appearances and refused to repeat his parents' mistakes. For 3 decades, he placed career above all else, determined not to let marriage or domestic life dictate his artistic choices. For him, personal freedom was non-negotiable, and love, if it came, did not need to be validated by a marriage certificate. Yet at 50, for the first time, Leonardo DiCaprio revealed another longing: fatherhood. In an interview, he admitted, "I'm not young anymore," and confessed that one day he would want children. It was a rare admission, a glimpse of the man behind the glamour and the tabloid headlines. He didn't need a grand wedding or to be the perfect husband in society's eyes. His true yearning was never for a title, but for a role, to become a father. And perhaps that is the performance Leonardo DiCaprio has been quietly waiting for all along. Perhaps it was his doubts about personal commitments that led Leonardo DiCaprio to choose another form of lifelong devotion: a bond with the planet itself. In 1998, at just 24 and freshly emerged from the shadow of Titanic, he founded the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation. The organization quickly became one of Hollywood's most active private charities, focusing on funding environmental projects, wildlife rescue, and raising awareness about climate change. DiCaprio never stopped at speeches or red carpet appearances. He repeatedly reached into his own pocket to provide urgent aid. In 1998, he donated $35,000 to the Los Feliz Library, where young Leo once sought books as an escape from his impoverished neighborhood. After the devastating Haiti earthquake in 2010, he sent $1 million in relief. Quietly, he also supported LGBTQ+ causes and minority children, $61,000 for GLAAD and $65,000 for an Armenian children's fund, extending his reach beyond Hollywood's borders. In recent years, he has emerged more clearly as the planet's unofficial ambassador. When Hurricane Harvey ravaged the U.S. in 2017, he immediately donated $1 million for victims. In 2020, as Australia burned, his foundation sent $3 million for rescue and restoration. Even during the Ukraine crisis in 2022, DiCaprio contributed humanitarian aid, showing that his concern extended not only to forests and oceans, but also to people caught in war. From an actor once trapped in the image of a romantic prince, Leonardo DiCaprio redefined himself through quiet action. A star who used fame to become a voice for the earth. Alongside philanthropy and environmental work, DiCaprio amassed a fortune that astonished many. His net worth is estimated at around $300 million, earned not only from acting fees but also from shrewd behind-the-scenes deals. On screen, DiCaprio has long been part of Hollywood's A-list, commanding between $20 and $30 million per film. Yet the more lucrative share came from back-end deals, revenue-sharing contracts he carefully negotiated. Thanks to this, Titanic brought him about $40 million, while Inception earned him between $50 and $60 million. Altogether, these back-end profits have netted him over $380 million, proof that he is not only an artist, but also a sharp financial strategist. Beyond film, DiCaprio leveraged his global influence to endorse international brands. From Oppo in Asia to Tag Heuer in luxury watches, Jim Beam in spirits, and even China's electric car company BYD, altogether bringing in another $100 million. In real estate, his footprint stretches from California to Central America. He once owned a villa on Red Oak Drive in Los Angeles, sold in 2022 for $4.9 million. A year earlier, he sold his Malibu beach house for $10.3 million, proof of his timing in buying and selling. Yet he also expanded, purchasing a luxurious Beverly Hills mansion for $9.9 million in 2021. His most ambitious project lies outside the U.S., Blackador Cay, a 104-acre private island in Belize, where he plans to build a sustainable resort, a tropical paradise turned green living experiment for the world. Even as a global superstar, DiCaprio did not chase after flashy supercars. His car collection balances luxury with environmental responsibility. From Toyota Prius, Fiat 500e, Polestar 2, and Fisker Karma, electric and hybrid models friendly to the climate, to powerful sports cars like the Porsche Cayenne Hybrid and Porsche 911 Carrera S. His refinement is also reflected in the luxury items he chooses. He owns a Patek Philippe Nautilus watch worth $180,000, a symbol of elite class. At home, a Casablanca piano valued at around $600,000 serves both as decoration and artistic statement. He even spent $3 million to acquire the ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz, one of the rarest film artifacts in existence. The fusion of artistry and brand power turned Leonardo DiCaprio into a star with both cultural influence and formidable financial strength. More importantly, he used much of that wealth to sustain his ideals, from protecting the environment to supporting humanitarian causes worldwide. By the age of 50, DiCaprio appeared less frequently on the big screen, yet drew attention through social, environmental, and artistic ventures. At the start of 2024, he reinforced his image as a global artist activist by publicly advocating for the protection of the endangered Maugean skate in Tasmania and opposing the Australian government's expansion of bauxite mining in the Jarrah forest. Using social media as a weapon, he turned seemingly distant issues into international conversations. Later that year, at Art Basel, his co-founded foundation, Rewild, hosted a private fundraiser that brought in $2.5 million for conservation programs. In 2025, DiCaprio began the year with tangible action, donating $1 million through Rewild's Rapid Response Program to support victims of wildfires in Los Angeles. This act showed that he doesn't only speak of the environment on global stages, but also supports his own community directly. That same year, he made headlines again with news of investing in a luxury hotel project in Tel Aviv. Marketed as a sustainable development, the project nevertheless sparked controversy due to the region's political sensitivity. Proof that even when acting with green intentions, DiCaprio remains vulnerable to criticism. Artistically, he continues his enduring partnership with Martin Scorsese. News that DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence would co-star in What Happens at Night, Scorsese's new project, sparked great anticipation among critics and audiences alike. At the same time, he is producing the documentary We Are Guardians, 2025, focused on Amazon deforestation, further intertwining his cinematic career with environmental advocacy. It is clear that in recent years, Leonardo DiCaprio has entered a new phase of balance, less noise at the box office, but greater visibility in campaigns for the planet. Fewer acting roles, but each project carries weight and long-term meaning. At 50, he is both an A-list actor and a globally influential environmental activist, a vivid testament that fame, when wielded wisely, can become a powerful language for changing the world. Looking back on Leonardo DiCaprio's journey, his legacy lies not only in the iconic roles he has played over more than 3 decades, but also in his refusal to be confined, his constant drive to reinvent himself. From the romantic Jack Dawson in Titanic to the bloodied survivor of the Revenant, the ruthless diamond smuggler in Blood Diamond, or the sadistic aristocrat in Django Unchained, each role carried a new mask, a different perspective on humanity. DiCaprio has never allowed himself to repeat, and that hunger has made him one of the master actors of the 21st century. His influence extends far beyond the screen. In a Hollywood saturated with dazzling lights and stars who flare and fade, DiCaprio has proven that endurance is what creates legends. He has not only collected an Oscar and countless prestigious awards, but has also become a face of serious cinema, where every film must leave a question behind, not just a box office tally. More importantly, DiCaprio has transformed fame into a tool for a global mission. Through the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation and millions in donations, he has become one of the rare artists remembered equally for 2 parallel images, a Hollywood star and an environmental activist. From protecting endangered fish in Tasmania, to opposing deforestation in Australia, to urging the world to act on climate change, DiCaprio has shown that artists can use their voices to sway public opinion, influence policy, and inspire action. Leonardo DiCaprio's legacy, therefore, is not only the films that will continue to be screened for decades to come. It is also a lesson in courage. Courage to escape his own shadow, to refuse easy roles, and to walk the harder path in search of truth. More profoundly, it is a reminder that art, when tied to social responsibility, can become a powerful weapon to change the world. At 50, Leonardo DiCaprio carries not only Hollywood's glitter, but also an aura of mystery that keeps the world watching. He does not flee from judgment, nor does he rush to please. In an entertainment industry quick to forget, DiCaprio has chosen to move slowly, steadily, leaving behind marks not easily erased. Perhaps what makes him unique is not who he has dated, what films he has made, or how many awards he has won. It is that, even now, no one can quite predict where Leonardo DiCaprio will go next. That very uncertainty, fragile yet magnetic, may be the longest role he has ever played. And what about you? When you look at Leonardo DiCaprio's life, with its glory, its choices, and its unfilled spaces? Do you see admirable freedom or inevitable loneliness? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to stay with us as we continue exploring real-life stories that can be even more captivating than the films on screen.